What's up guys, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and this is my Huawei Mate 20 Pro review after using it for over 2 months. For the regulars on the channel, you'll know in my reviews I don't go over specs and things like that. Those have already been covered in my unboxing video, which is going to be linked in the cards and in the description. In this video, I'm simply going to be talking about my experience using the Mate 20 Pro, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and what I think can be improved for the next version. Right, so starting off, I've actually had my primary SIM card in this phone for over a month now, and there's one major reason for that, and that's battery life. Let me just go ahead and say the Huawei Mate 20 Pro has the best battery life on any smartphone I've tested this year. I'm easily getting over 6 hours of on-screen time on this, and I've been using this while I've been traveling, so I've had 2 SIM cards in here, and I've not needed to top it up during the day. It's lasted me all day long, every single time. And if you do need a top up, say for instance, if you've forgotten to charge this overnight, then you've got Huawei SuperCharge, which is one of the fastest charging methods out there. Huawei claim you can get up to 70% charge in 30 minutes. In practice, it's roughly around 60 to 65%, which is still really good. There's also wireless charging, which I'm a big fan of. I have a wireless charger on my desk, on my bedside, and I can just drop this on there and have it charged up. Really nice to have. And then we also have wireless reverse charging. Now, let's talk about this. When it was initially announced, people were really excited, and it was one of my top 10 features right away because I was like, hey, this is amazing. I can use my Mate 20 Pro to charge another device wirelessly. But in practice, it really is a gimmick. Yes, it does work, but it's so slow that it pretty much makes it useless. I've tried to charge another device with this, and like over half an hour, I only had a few percent. So it does work, but it's definitely a party trick, a gimmick. It would have been nice if you could have charged another device at regular speed like you can do with a normal wireless charger, but this is definitely not the case. Now let's talk about the build and design. I think a lot of you guys will agree with me when I say that the Mate 20 Pro has definitely been inspired by the Samsung Galaxy devices with the dual curved display design. It does look really nice, but you might struggle to find a screen protector for it. But you do have Huawei's signature gradient look here at the back. They were one of the first to do this. We've got the twilight color here, which looks really nice. But here's the thing, this thing is a fingerprint magnet. So even though you've got this really nice looking color, you're gonna get fingerprints on it so easily. And I tried to overcome this by using a clear case, but then the clear case got a bunch of fingerprints as well, so I kind of constantly find myself having to clean this. Now if you do want to get rid of the fingerprint problem altogether, then you can pick up a skin from our channel sponsor Dbrand. They've got a huge variety now for the Mate 20 Pro, and they look really slick. They're going to protect your device from scratches, and they're going to give you more grip and get rid of that fingerprint problem altogether. I'm going to be leaving a link to Dbrand in the description below if you want to go ahead and check them out. But apart from that, no real complaints of the build and design. Looks and feels very premium. We've also got IP68 water and dust resistance. Some of you guys might not like this camera array arrangement here at the back, which is kind of weird looking, but it's also quite unique. This is something that no other smartphone manufacturer is doing, so I kind of don't mind it. I think it looks pretty decent overall. And let's talk about these cameras. So for the longest time, a lot of us guys have been saying that yes, it's all well and good having a telephoto camera, and that has been the most popular choice for most smartphones, a primary camera and a secondary telephoto camera, which is going to give you 2 times optical zoom or maybe more. But my preference has always been an ultra wide camera, having something that lets you get in so much more in a shot. Well, Huawei have ticked all 3 boxes. So you've got a primary camera, you've got a telephoto camera with 3 times optical zoom, and then you've also got the ultra wide camera, and the ultra wide camera is my absolutely favorite. I love this. I use it so much, especially when I was traveling. I wanted to get in lots of landscapes and things. Absolutely love this. Now the primary camera is really good. For me, I still do prefer the Pixel 3 XL's primary camera or the iPhone XS Max's primary camera. But the advantage that you've got with the Mate 20 Pro is that you've got the 2 additional cameras with that wide angle on the zoom, and this is what makes it a great all-rounder. You've also got night mode, which works well like it did on the P20 Pro. And one thing that you do have that you didn't have on the P20 Pro is 4K video stabilization. This is a big complaint that I had with the P20 Pro, no stabilization at 4K. You now have this. I still think other devices do video better, but it's nice to see these improvements. One area that I think the Mate 20 Pro definitely needs improvement is on the front-facing camera. It's okay, but it still has that bit of a softening effect even when you've got it switched off. One thing that has been addressed, which I was ranting about in my P20 Pro review, is the fact that beauty mode for video isn't switched on by default, so you will have 1080p video from the front-facing camera unless you do switch on beauty mode at 720p. Now let's talk about the security of the device. We do have an in-display fingerprint scanner, and I was super excited to hear about this initially, but it's okay, it's not great. It does feel a lot more compared to a rear-facing fingerprint scanner, for example. It's something that I do find frustrating a lot of the times. It has been improved since we had a software update, but it's still not great. Now, you do also have 3D facial recognition, which does work really well most of the time. I still wouldn't say it's as good as something like what we have on Face ID for the iPhone, but it does work well overall if the fingerprint scanner is something that you don't want to use. Now, touching on the display, this is actually a really good display. I know some people have been having some issues with some green screen bleed. I've not had any of those issues. If you do have one of those issues, I definitely recommend taking it back to your retailer or getting in touch with Huawei. I've not had any of these issues. It's a really good screen overall. Colors are vibrant, blacks are deep, and details are very sharp, but it's still not my favorite display out there. I do prefer something like the Note 9 or the iPhone XS Max, and there's a few reasons for that. Firstly, the eye comfort mode on this is not great. If you're somebody like me who uses your phone in the dark a lot before you're about to go to bed, then this is quite uncomfortable in my opinion anyway. Now, if you compare this to something like the Note 9 or the iPhone XS Max, those get much dimmer and are much easier to view in darker situations compared to the Mate 20 Pro. And then we have this notch here. Now, generally speaking, I am not massively against a notch. It's something that I've got very much used to after using it for quite some time. But here's the problem with the Mate 20 Pro, and it might be down to the software, and that's because it's so wide, there's no space for icons. If you look here at the top, there's so many icons that are taking up all of the space that I only get one notification icon at one time, which is really frustrating because I have to keep swiping down to see what notifications I actually have. Now, this gets even more frustrating because of the always on display. The Huawei Mate 20 Pro's always on display is 2 years behind everybody else, and that's because all you see is the time, the date, and the battery percentage. You don't get app icon notifications or anything like that. It is just a glorified clock, which in my opinion is pretty useless, and I hope Huawei can update this via software. Continuing on about software frustrations, EMUI is definitely not one of my favorite skins. You don't get an app drawer. Yes, you can download and install a launcher, for example. I didn't want to do that because I wanted to get a proper experience like most people would be getting with this out of the box. And there's just a few little things that really annoy me, like for instance, when I'm on Instagram stories and I'm trying to zoom in to a picture, then it's going to bring up high touch, which I don't want to use. I kind of want to do the default things that I can do. I don't want all of these interruptions from everywhere. And there's also other little frustrations, like for instance, when you're in the camera app, if you're on the wide angle camera and you switch to, for instance, night mode, it's going to go back to the regular angle of view, and then you have to switch back. It gets quite frustrating. Just little things like this. Well, if you're listening, then please just clean some of these things up and they will make for a much better experience. Now, when it comes to speed and performance, this thing has been absolutely fine. I've not really had any issues with this. Yes, a few app crashes here and there. This is something that's pretty normal. Generally speaking, this has been super fast and smooth, whether it comes to gaming, apps, whatever it is. Very good. Finally, just going to touch on the speakers. You do have stereo speakers. One is in the earpiece and one is bottom firing, but it's within the USB-C port, which is quite an odd choice. Sound pretty decent, but you can very easily cover it. And of course, there is no 3.5mm jack. This is something that I've not really missed too much just because so many of the manufacturers don't have this. Now, for pricing and availability, a lot of you guys will already know that this is not available in the US. I don't fully understand the situation, but it looks like the US government doesn't trust Huawei because of its ties with the Chinese government. I'm not going to go into a detailed debate. It is unfortunate that you can't get this directly in the US. In the UK, however, you can get this directly and it retails for £900, which is a premium price for a premium flagship. It's the same price as what you'll pay for something like the Note 9. And in my opinion, it is worth it for what you're getting. You're getting an all-round great package. It ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. It's a great all-rounder, and it did make my top 5 smartphones of the year which you can check out in the cards. That's what I think anyway. What do you guys think? Definitely drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do hit that thumbs up button for me. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and switch on notifications. There's lots more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time. Man, it feels weird being back in the studio. I've been away for so long.